I totally forgot how much fun it can be killing monsters.
Can you say something like that on YouTube?
You're probably right. Okay, you know what? When you edit the video later, then just cut this out and put something in with flowers, okay?
Okay, boss.
Yeah. Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel Unmarked for All. Welcome to a very quick HDR analyze video on my channel. PlayStation 5, Doom Eternal and of course Xbox Series X as well. And let's start from the very beginning as always. So unfortunately the internal HDR calibration menus on both consoles, they don't have any impact on the game. So it doesn't matter really what you set up here in those menus. There's no change at all, so don't even bother to set up anything here. In terms of the HDR black level race, what we're experiencing in a lot of games, unfortunately, I can say, thanks God, Doom Eternal is perfect. There is no increasement in gamma and black level at all. The whole picture in HDR looks just superb. And as always, you know me, I don't want to spoil it too much. That's why I'm using the very first level in this game. And yeah, I did my testing on both consoles, Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. I played the PC version a little bit, but I haven't done any comparisons so far because it's a little bit, yeah, let's say like this unfair, because higher resolution, better textures and so on and so on and so on. But anyway, so this time we're just really focusing on the PlayStation 5 version and the Xbox version, and what I can say between both consoles in terms of HDR, there is no difference at all. And of course, we're talking about Dolby Vision a little bit later because we can play this on the Xbox, of course, in Dolby Vision. Yeah, but anyway, let's start, I would say, with the internal settings here, what I'm using at the moment. I just like to share this with you. So I turned off motion blur. That's my personal preference. Chroma operation is still on, film grain is off. I really don't like it, but feel free to use it. And at the moment we're using the ray tracing mode for doing the HDR testing. So when I'm playing this game, I'm actually playing in 120 FPS because this game needs high frame rate. But this video is all about HDR. So when I started the game for the very first time, I found it a little bit dim, especially in HGIG. So right now we're using HGIG. As always, dynamic tone mapping is a little bit brighter, and we're talking about Dolby Vision in a moment, but those are the standard settings from the game. I just can restore this again. So those are the standard settings. And what I have changed, actually, I did a little bit of testing. I haven't measured any peak brightness because, to be very honest, it was very hard to find a stable, let's say, lightning, what I can measure all the time, because you can't measure actually this one. It's very, very hard to get a peak brightness or a stable brightness out of it. So I just gave up at some point. But what I found is with the settings, and I like to share this with you, of course. So I increased this to 8 because I would actually say, or my impression is that those is actually the HDR peak brightness, what we say now having around 800 nits, and we know that the TV is theoretically capable of 800 nits. I never saw this, but I found in most of the games, when you change this to 800 nits, you have a really nice HDR picture. So in terms of, let me just show you a difference. This is not very nice. Let's have a look here, and we do the same again. So I changed this already to 8.0. So HDR, so this is the overall brightness from HDR, okay? So you change the whole brightness from the screen. Of course, you shouldn't increase it too much because at some point you really lose fine details in brighter objects. So again, I leave this on 8.0 at the moment. So then we have HDR saturation, which really means saturation, okay? So I leave this for now to 1.1. That's the standard settings. And then we have HDR min stop, which actually controls contrast like crazy, and it is, in my opinion, actually the 8.0 setting is a very nice setting already. Depends when you play, let's say, in a very, very bright room, maybe you can increase this or decrease this actually to -9, but I found -8 is really a nice setting. So now Hdr White Point, which is a very interesting feature, it will also increase or decrease the maximum brightness from the HDR elements. And what I found is actually standard is 0.20. I actually changed it to 0.15 to get more pop in, and I found, yeah, you start losing a little bit of details in very bright objects, but it is worth it because it is more punchy now. HDR max stop is the same for, let's say, contrast in very bright elements. I wouldn't actually change it, you know. Standard is 9 and yeah, maximum 8, okay, because you get really weird colors and artifacts when you decrease this actually. So 9, the standard settings, in my opinion, is very, very nice. So let's move back to HDR saturation, because we changed a little bit in terms of HDR White Point and stuff like that. I found after this I had to increase this actually 1 click to 1.2 to get a very nice, very nice color spec. And again, this is of course my own preference. Some of you maybe find this a little bit too much. I really, really like it, those settings. And again, this is HGig at the moment, so not too dark, not too bright. And the lighting effects, especially in later levels, are very, very nice. Here it's a little bit too dark, or the environment is very, very dark, but you have very nice effects like this. And of course, very nice effects like this. So far, really great, yeah, in my opinion, internal HDR settings. And of course, I like to show you a little bit of gameplay as well, but not too much. I don't want to spoiler. And again, I'm playing in ray tracing mode at the moment, which, yeah, gives us 60 FPS, and by the way, stable 60 FPS. I have no problem at all, or I haven't found any stuttering so far, not at all. It's really, really nice. Come on, die. Not sure I'm allowed to show this on YouTube. I don't care, really. Anyway, so this is again still HGig. Very, very bright at the moment, because all my lights are on. I have no problems at all to, yeah, to see anything or everything. It's just great. I really like the HDR effects in this game, especially when you look here. At the moment we don't have much time to look at stuff, because otherwise I will die. And I love the chainsaw, of course. Come on. So I have to say, actually, I played the game on the Xbox as well, and the gameplay is different on the Xbox, and I will tell you why. Because on this PlayStation you have the adaptive trigger, and it takes you, where's ammo? I need ammo. And it takes you actually longer on the PlayStation 5 to pull the trigger because of this feature. But it is of course a little bit more, yeah, it's not realistic, but it's more fun of course on the PlayStation 5 because of this. But in a fast-paced game like this, I'm not quite sure if I really like to have this feature all the time. Oh, we have no fuel anymore. That's good. Who's shooting at me? Okay, so let's have a more deeper look on HGig versus dynamic tone mapping, and of course Dolby Vision. And yes, in most of the cases dynamic tone mapping on is much brighter than HGig. Here as well you can clearly see a very big difference, and I get it that some people like this, because at this very moment it looks better to me. I have to admit it. Even with my settings, what I changed in the internal game menu for HDR, it is better right now. It is popping more, but I really don't like this effect from dynamic tone mapping, that it is always changing the brightness. Because yeah, I explained this to you. When you look at some point where what is very, very bright, there's no difference to HGig, because dynamic tone mapping is analyzing the screen, and then it will decide what maximum brightness or peak brightness it has to use. And that's why in some cases you don't have a difference between HGig and dynamic tone mapping. But when there is no bright objects on the screen, you have actually really this big difference. Doesn't mean that HGig is not working in this game, because you can clearly see that, especially with bright objects like this or here, and the lightning as well, getting brighter with HGig on. Not sure what my camera is doing, but I can clearly see a difference, and this is what I like. I really like to have contrast, a very nice contrast, and with dynamic tone mapping sometimes this contrast is getting lost. So again, I can't actually complain with HGig with the brightness, but I get it when people like to play in dynamic tone mapping on, because this is a big difference in terms of brightness. But I have to say that in terms of the peak brightness, especially here, and I tried to measure something here with my meter, it was around 650 candela in dynamic tone mapping on and in HGig. So because now when you just look at this, there is no difference at all anymore. So HGig is showing you the maximum peak brightness when it counts, So, and this is what I like to have, absolutely. Not the fake dynamic tone mapping brightness, what I would call it. And this looks really, it looks great, this game. Okay, what about Dolby Vision now? Was I able to see any difference between Dolby Vision, HGig, dynamic tone mapping? Yeah, okay, dynamic tone mapping, of course, there's a brightness difference. But was there any difference between HGig and the Dolby Vision? Let's say PlayStation 5 versus Xbox? No, not at all. I was not able to see any difference, and the main reason probably is because this game is not mastered, not rendered in Dolby Vision. So what Dolby Vision is doing more or less is HGig. That's why I'm not having any difference. And it looks great. It just looks great. We still have no black level rise. I was not able to see any issue in terms of this. We still have more or less the same maximum peak brightness, more or less, because it is really very hard to measure always the same. So it was 640 here, something around that, and on a PlayStation was 650. And sometimes it was the other way around. So there is no difference in terms of peak brightness. If you just have Dolby Vision on your TV and no HGig, then in my opinion Dolby Vision with the, of course, optimized settings is the way to go. And of course feel free to change this as well, because this is, again, this is for my TV, for my LG CX. If you have a monitor screen which is capable of much more HDR brightness, then you have to crank this up, of course, because this is, this is according to your screen, not just, copy and paste my settings. This is really just for my LG CX with my calibrated HDR picture settings. Okay, so give it a try the settings and post in the comments what you think about those settings. And I will do a separate video about where I'm talking about the PlayStation 5 version, Xbox version and the PC version. Because there are differences, of course, especially when we're talking about the PC version in terms of resolution and, of course, graphical quality. And what I'm doing here actually, is this actually right now set to 120 Hertz? No, it's not on the Xbox, because I'm always doing some testing. Let me just show you very quickly how easy it is actually to change to 120 Hertz. That's all what you have to do. And now we're into, where's my screen here? 120 Hertz, 120 frames. And this is a big difference. But anyway, I will do a separate video about this soon. And then I will actually show you a little bit more from the game. And I really like it. Come on, come here. Okay. Especially this stuff here. I love it. I really just love it. Okay, anyway, so put in the comments what you think about this game, what you think about the settings. Maybe you have different settings for your LG CX or whatever TV you're using. Looking forward for this, because I like to try maybe different settings as well. Wow, okay, this was good. Yeah, and as you can see, I started the early beginning from the game again, just for you. I mean, I haven't played very long, to be very honest, because I'm more actually busy with testing and whatever. And I have to try the multiplayer as well here. Absolutely. But anyway, that's enough for this game. So make sure, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to my channel, please. Leave me a comment what you think. And I will post new video soon, okay? So I'm very busy here, okay? Thank you very much for watching me. See you, bye.